So now that we have our shadows done, let's jump into the lights. Therefore, as you can see, first of all I make adjustments in the light source. So I try to figure out the color by pressing Ctrl U and making adjustments with the color. Then I duplicate this little magical light and use Gaussian blur and set the layer mode to, I believe it's color dodge, so it gets this really vibrant glowy vibe. So now that I have my light source, I paint the light in on the figure as well. Therefore I pick the color, I make a new layer underneath the drawing layer, set it to layer mode color dodge, and just paint in the light with this greenish tone. I use a structured pastel brush again. It's kind of the same brush I used for the shadows. And from there I just paint in the light kind of everywhere on the figure, and I keep the light source and the direction of the light source in mind again. As you can see here, I put up the references again because thinking about light and where it hits and where it's supposed to hit and stuff like that, it's quite complicated. So I had this picture which I thought handled that problem really good. So I just took it as a reference to get a little bit more clarity where I want to put my lights. So this process is pretty straightforward as well, and just take all the time that you need and get all the reference material that you need. These days you probably can find anything or use applications like the Handy app, which is an app that allows you to rotate kind of in a 3D skull in space and set different light sources and stuff like that. So this can help as well. At some point I start to erasing or smudging some of the edges. So for example on the arm element, it's like because it's rounded again, so the light would flow and follow the roundness. That's why I smudged it there to get rid of the hard edge. So that's always something you can do as well. And yeah, I try to keep the light source in mind, but don't stress too much about the realism. So if I think light would look good somewhere, although it might make not any sense, I still put it there just to communicate the idea. So that's how I approach it. And you can always go like back and forth and react to stuff that you created and figure out if it works for you, if it doesn't. Sometimes it's really good to just take a step back, to put it aside for a while, for 10 minutes, do something else, jump right back into it, and then you probably see all the mistakes you made or stuff like that. So what I do there is like create little particles now on the same layer with the same color, just like from the magic flowing around. And that's pretty much it for the light source of the magic. Next step is adding some bounce light. So let me talk about that for a bit. I make a new layer, and I think I pick some bluish tone from the background and set the layer on color dodge as well. So this is, so you imagine the kobold is standing in a room and the light source hits like the floor and the stuff around him and bounces back onto him. So this creates like a secondary light source, which is basically the reflection from the floor and the surroundings. So since it's like a bluish background, it's like a bluish color that's hitting these parts, and I put them where the main light, the magical light, does not hit. So this creates like this very light and subtle light on the lower right side of the character. And that's it for the lights. So the character is basically done, and in the next episode we're going to add some background.